Hello everyone, please confirm, am I audible and visible both?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. So if you all remember everyone, first of all, good evening to all of you. And
Good evening, sir.
yeah, good evening everyone. So if you all remember, yesterday before leaving only, we have started with one chapter called Audit of Banks. So let us try to finish off this chapter in the today's session only. So there is one extra topic which I will tell you, that is called, what do you say, the NPA provisions and all. Remaining all the things are there in this chapter itself only. So yesterday we have covered the meaning of the bank. Yesterday we covered the features of the bank, and yesterday we also covered what, regulatory framework of the bank. So in total, how many types of acts are there which are applicable to the bank, everyone? How
Nine.
many? Yes. So 9 to 10 acts are there. So actually there are so many. These are some of the few acts which are actually applicable to the Banking Act. So if you all remember, Banking Regulation Act, RBI Act, Companies Act, State Bank of India Act, State Bank Subsidiaries Act, Banking Companies Act, RRB Act, Information Technology Act, Prevention of Money Laundering Act, SARFAESI Act, CICR Act, and Payment and Settlement Systems Act. So very favorite question of the examiner when it comes to the examination. So yes, it does ask you the question from these kind of questions also. Ki briefly explain the regulatory framework of banking system in India. Clear everyone? Yes. So today we are going to start with the topic called what are the functions of the RBI. Actually, these are very simple things. You know that ki these things happen in the bank audit. Are you getting it? These things happen in the bank audit. So, like these things generally happen in the bank, and what generally happens in the bank, we just have to examine that only. What happens in the bank? Generally, what happens in the bank? Deposits will be taken by the bank, and loans will be given by the bank. So, we are just going to do some few audits of lending the loans and getting the deposit, right? So everyone, it is regulated by RBI, right or not? You all know that ki RBI is an apex bank and RBI is a central bank. So all the banks in India are regulated by whom? RBI. That is, there is
RBI.
nothing new to be told to you. But remember one thing, as a bank also, if you want to open the new branches, if you want to open the new branches, and if you want to commence your business activity without RBI's permission and RBI's license, can you open a new branch in India? Answer is no.
No.
Either you are opening a branch, suppose SBI is there in Coimbatore and it is already having 5 branches in Coimbatore. Now SBI is thinking of opening a 6th branch. So at that point of time, opening a new branch, every bank, for opening every new branch, they have to take a permission of whom? RBI. So
RBI.
RBI's prior approval is required. RBI's license is required to operate your banking activities. That is what is written in this point, everyone. So it is regulated by the RBI. No new branches and no commencement of banking business can be done without whose permission? RBI's permission, right? Banks must be regulated under corporate governance guidelines. Yes. What do you mean by corporate governance guidelines? That actually you're going to understand in CA final, but let me write it here. Corporate governance guidelines stands for FATEL, everyone. What do we call it as? FATEL. What do you mean by FATEL? Fairness, accountability, integrity, reliability, transparency, ethical conduct, and lawful operations. Again, repeat everyone. Try to repeat after me. F stands for fairness. A stands for accountability. I stands for integrity. R stands for reliability. T stands for transparency, and E stands for ethical conduct, and L stands for lawful nature. All these 7 qualities are expected from the bank. That is what RBI tells to the bank. Be fair in your dealings, be accountable for if something wrong is there, be honest, sincere, and straightforward. That is called integrity. Be reliable enough so that customer can rely upon the bank and can leave their crores and crores of money also on the bank. Always be transparent to your customer. Don't put any kind of hidden charges or something like that. Sometimes we face these kind of issues. And always behave ethically and be lawful in nature. Lawful means what? All these acts which are applicable on the bank must be carried forward by the bank, right or not? So this is what do you mean by bank audit, everyone, right or not? So it is regulated by RBI. No new branches can be opened. No commencement of the business activity is allowed without RBI's permission, and you are expected to have a corporate governance while running a bank. Corporate governance means fairness, accountability, integrity, reliability, and transparency. So this thing you are actually going to learn it in CA final, but I'm just giving you the idea so that you will get an information about that. Next thing. Point number 3 mein what is written as per section number 35 of the Banking Regulation Act, SBI can inspect, RBI can inspect any bank at any point of time. Remember one thing, RBI is your regulator, and as a regulator, RBI, if want at any point of time, any bank, any branch, it can investigate. It need not take anybody's permission, because who is your mother body? RBI, right?
RBI.
Yeah, RBI controls the demand and supply of the money in the economy. That you might have already done in your economics when you were in foundation. If I'm not wrong, you might have done two policies at that point of time. One is known as credit policy and one is known as monetary policy. Am I correct or not? Monetary policies and credit policies, reserve repo rates, statutory liquidity ratio, CRR, cash reserve ratios, all these you might have seen, you might have heard these words whenever the budget comes every year in the month of February. RBI plays a very important role in that budget. RBI increases or decreases the lending rates, increases or decreases the deposit rates. Now nowadays, please tell me everyone, what is the lending rates are going on? What are the loan rates are going on right now? It is nowadays 6% to 7%. It is going on, whereas pre-COVID time period it used to be 10% to 11%. Now, why RBI has decreased the rate of loans? Because in the due to the COVID-19, so many people got financially unsound. So at that point of time, you don't have that much of money to buy the things on your own. So RBI, if the people will not take the loans from the banks, whether the banks will be able to make any income? Tell me everyone. If the people will not take the loans from the banks, whether the bank will be able to generate any income?
No.
No, there will be a very loss of income. That's why RBI reduces the rates or increases the rate according to the economy ratio. So all the types of ratios like reserve ratio, repo reserve ratio, credit policy, etc., everything will be taken care by whom? RBI. So point number 1 may be understood that no new branches and no commencement of business activity is allowed without RBI's permission. In the point number 2, we understood if banks are always regulated under the corporate governance guidelines of RBI. Point number 3 may be understood that RBI can come at any point of time in any kind of branch of any bank at any point of time. There is no any restriction on the RBI to do the inspection. It is a limitless body. And at the same point of time, RBI controls the demand and supply of the money when it comes to the economic stability or economic instability. So reserve ratios, repo ratios, credit policy, monetary policy, all that is going to be taken care of by whom? RBI, right? Now, RBI also has the power to determine the cash reserve ratio and statutory liquidity ratio. So if anybody is having an idea about the CRR and SLR, anybody is having an idea about this? See, cash reserve ratio means that this much of cash every bank has to keep with the RBI, because in case of emergency, then in that case your money will be released by the RBI to make use of that money in that situation. So every bank, either by hook or by crook, has to deposit some cash reserves with whom? RBI. That rate, how much percentage you have to deposit, that RBI will decide. Did you get the point or not? Second thing, may we come to know about the this thing called SLR. Sir, what is SLR? Statutory liquidity ratio. SLR stands for statutory liquidity ratio. This is the minimum liquid amount or minimum liquid cash which every bank has to maintain. How much minimum cash every bank has to maintain at any point of time, that also will be decided by whom, everyone? RBI. Are you getting the point? And can I say that RBI is also known as Bankers Bank? Yes,
Yes.
RBI is also known as Bankers Bank. Like bank accepts the deposits from the public and lends the loan to the public, RBI accepts the deposits from the banks and lend the loans to the bank. So that is why it is known as Bankers Bank. So it accepts the bank deposits and gives loans to the bank and discounts the bills of the bank. So these are the various questions they may ask you in the examination. To briefly explain the functions of whom? RBI Bank. So anybody can tell me what are the functions of RBI Bank? 6 functions we have done. Point number 1. No new branches and no business activity can be done without whose permission? RBI's permission. RBI expect you to be governed by the corporate governance. RBI can inspect any bank, any branch at any point of time. RBI is the one who is going to take care of contraction and spread of money in the economy by deciding reserve ratios, repo reserve ratios, credit policies. RBI also has the power to determine the CRR and SLR ratios, and RBI is also known as Bankers Bank. Like the bank takes the deposits from the public, RBI gives the deposits to the bank, takes the deposits from the bank and gives the loans to the banks. So that is why it is known as Bankers Bank. Any doubt so far, everyone? Any doubt or no doubt? No doubt. Okay, next thing. Now, everyone, please tell me, in the accountancy, you might have understood Schedule 3 of financial statements or not? Yes. So nowadays, financial statements are in the T-shaped manner or vertical manner?
Vertical.
Now, where it is told that how the financial statement should be prepared, it is told in the Schedule 3 of the Companies Act 2013, where the Part A talks about the balance sheet and Part B talks about what? P&L. Are you getting the point or not? Now, remember one thing, as a banking company, you are created under the Companies Act. But are you regulated also by the Companies Act, or you are regulated by Banking Regulation Act?
Banking relation.
So Banking Regulation Act says that follow my format of financial statements. Don't follow the format of financial statements which are there in Companies Act. So Banking Regulation Act, maybe there is one Schedule 3, everyone, and in the Schedule 3 there are two parts, Part B and Part A. What is Part B, everyone? Part B is a which statement? P&L statement. And Part B is a which statement, everyone? Balance sheet. So it is just that you just have to replace the word Companies Act 2013 with the which act? Banking Regulation Act 1949. So remember one thing, Schedule 3 of the Companies Act 2013 is not applicable to three types of companies. Neither it is applicable to banking company, nor it is applicable to insurance companies, and nor it is applicable to whom? Electricity companies. So banking companies, insurance companies and electricity companies do not follow the format of financial statements of Schedule 3. They do follow the format of their own act only. So like banks are going to follow the format of which act?
Banking relation
Banking,
act.
right? So in the Banking Regulation Act also we have a Schedule 3 and we have a Part A and Part B. Clear, everyone? Crystal clear? Clear, everyone? Yes. Now, accounting standards are common. So either it is bank financial statement or either it is a normal company financial statement. Accounting statements are, just give me 1 second, everyone. Okay, everyone, am I visible? Am I audible now? Yes. Hello, everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, like accounting standards are applicable to the normal company, accounting standards are also applicable in the same manner to the banking company. So, there is no change when it comes to the accounting standard. So, accounting standards under section 133 are equally applicable to the banking system also. The only one change is that banking systems and the banks will not follow the Schedule 3 of Companies Act. They will follow the Schedule 3 of which act, everyone? Banking Regulation Act. Next one. The very first audit of the banks which is the first audit of the bank we are going to do, is known as audit of controls of the bank. Everyone, please try to understand. Tell me one thing, whether the internal control systems of the bank should be very much poor or should be highly strong.
Yes,
Highly strong. Why? Because they involve whose money? Public money. Are you getting the point? Tell me one thing, whether the bank gives the loan from its own pocket? No. There are people who deposit the money with the bank, and bank utilizes that money and gives that same money to the someone as a loan. Now, while taking the deposits, bank pays the interest, and by giving the loan, bank receives the interest. The difference between the interest received and interest paid is nothing but the income of the bank. Do you all agree with that or not? Yes. So bank is basically what? Bank is a place where the public funds are getting rotated. From someone you are getting the money and to someone you are giving the money. Am I correct or not? Do you all agree?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So that is the reason internal control system of the bank should be highly strong or not. It should be highly strong and highly efficient. So that's the reason before starting doing the audit of a bank, what is the first audit auditor has to do? Auditor has to do the audit of controls of the bank. Did you all understand the point or not? Now, whenever you do the audit of controls of the bank, these are the 6 questions you have to get satisfied upon. Are you guys able to see the 6 questions? Question number 1. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. What are the 6 questions, everyone? Who, what, when, where, why, how. Point number 1. So the first thing the auditor will ask the banker, who performs your control? Who has the right to perform your control? Banker has to give the answer. Whether that person who is performing the control is a competent person or not. Did you understand the question number first, everyone? So in the question number 1, what the auditor is expecting and what the auditor is asking to the bank? Who perform your controls? Now say for example, there is a person who is taking care of applications to be accepted and rejected in case of loans. Tell me everyone, if the person is accepting and rejecting the applications of the loan, whether he should be a IITN or he should be a commerce background person or he should be a financial expert. The one person who is accepting the applications of the loan or rejecting the applications of the loan in the bank. There is one officer who is known as credit analyst. He accepts the application, he rejects the application for the loans. Now tell me whether he should be an engineering person or he should be a financial expert. Financial expert. So do we have to appoint a competent persons while doing the bank operations or incompetent?
Competent.
That is what the question number 1 the auditor is asking. Who is performing which kind of control in your bank and whether the person who is performing that control is a competent person or not. Did you all understand the first 2 questions? Yes. Now, in the second question, the auditor is asking, okay, you are saying that you have a good surveillance system. You have the cameras installed in the every corner of the bank. Can you give me the proof? Now tell me, would you like to pay the visit to the bank or not? If the banker is claiming that, sir, we have 40 cameras installed at the different places. Now, would you like to see it with your blatant eye or not? Yes. So you need an evidence whether the controls are placed or not. You need an evidence to check the controls. Did you all understand the question number 2 also? Yes. Now, question number 3. When? How many times? Acha, I'm going. Acha, tell me one thing. As an auditor, are you there with the bank throughout the year, or you are only entering at the end of the year? And you will be there in the bank hardly for 2 to 3 days to do the audit of bank or not?
Yes, sir.
Now, throughout the year, who is running the controls? You or banker?
Banker.
So it is whose responsibility to keep a regular check on the controls? Is it your responsibility or bankers?
Banker.
So that is what question number 1, everyone. How many times the checks and controls are required? And whether such checks and controls you have done, what is the frequency, whatever you have done, is it enough or not? Now, banker is saying that, sir, we generally do the cross verification once in a year. Now tell me, banker is running with its own money or public money?
Public.
In an organization where the crores and crores of money is being exchanged on daily basis, in the banks, crores and crores of cash comes, crores and crores of cash goes out. Now tell me, one time in a financial year, control check is important or multiple times it is important?
Control check is
Now tell
important.
me, control check one time is important or multiple times?
Multiple times.
Multiple. So
Multiple.
do I have to ask this question to the banker or not? How many times? What is the frequency of your control? And if you are doing the controls 2, 3 times or 4 times or 10 times in a year, is that frequency according to the size of your bank is enough or not? That is what my question number 5. Everyone, please tell me in the first 5 questions, any doubt or no doubt? Who, what, when. Who may we are asking the banker who performs the control, whether he is a competent person or not. What may we are asking the control, I want to see your controls, please give me the evidence. In the when I'm asking ki how many times you do the checks on your control and whether the checks or the frequencies which you think that it is optimum is really enough for the size of your bank or not. Now, point number 4, I'm asking where the evidences are retained. Now tell me, when you open a bank account, do they take your Aadhaar card, PAN card, KYC or not? Yes. So tell me, your Aadhaar card, your PAN card is a very confidential information.
Yes.
Whether the banker has to keep it in an open place or in a safe custody.
Safe.
That is what. Where do you keep those evidences? How long it was retained and how it is accessible to whom? Are you getting the point? So I am asking the 3 questions to the banker here. Where do you keep all those papers, evidences and all? And for how long do you retain? Now tell me, as per section number 128 of Companies Act, every company has to maintain its books of accounts for at least 8 years or not?
Yes.
So like in the Banking Regulation Act also, there might be some rules or not? Yes or no? And I am also saying whether these documents which you are keeping in the safe custody, whether everybody in the bank should have access to those documents, whether the peon of the bank also should have the access, or only a competent and good officer should be allowed.
Competent and good.
Yes, so these are the various things I'm asking the banker. Now tell me, indirectly in all these 8 questions, did you understand that I'm checking their controls only?
Yes.
Yes or no? Second point. Next point, why such controls are required? I went into the bank and I asked him, ki, sir, I'm observing that ki you are using the biometric attendance to log in into your computer. Banker is saying, yes, 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 sir. There is a thumb impression we have to put on our one small machine. Then only we can see the screen and that is our login feed. Now tell me whether it is a good control or a bad control.
Good control.
Login ID password easily can be hacked, but can your thumb impression be hacked?
Oh.
No. So next question I ask them, whether errors are detected and prevented with such controls. I ask them, you put so much, say for example, I was checking their cash counting machine. So in the cash counting machine, I put some duplicate notes. That machine only counted the notes, but that machine did not tell me out of 100 notes which I put in that machine, how many are duplicate. Now tell me, is it a useful machine or useless machine? Useless machine. So whether your controls are able to detect the frauds and errors or not, are they able to prevent the frauds and errors or not? Do I have a right to ask this question?
Yes.
Yes. And in the last way, what I'm asking, how it is performed? Do you perform it well or not? Whether your controls have been anytime bypassed. What do you mean by bypassed, everyone? Was there any incident in the whole year when your computers got hacked? I'm just asking them. And is bypass detected? Whether you people will come to know when the hacking was going on, whether you were able to detect that your computers have been bypassed, and what is its impact due to that hacking, how much loss you have incurred. Did I ask these many questions to the bankers or not? Yes. So with these many questions, I got a picture of what of a bank, everyone? I got a picture
Internal
of their
control.
ICS. What is ICS? Internal Controls Systems. So just try to remember some questions and try to let me know whether you retain these questions or not. In the question number 1, what we are asking, who is performing your control and whether he is a competent person or not. Question number 2, maybe we are asking, I want to see some evidences whether you have that controls in existence or not. Question number 3, may I am asking, how many times you check your controls and whether the frequency according to the nature and size of your bank is enough or not. Point number 4, may I am asking, where do you keep all those evidences? For how long you keep it and whether it is accessible to anyone? And a point number 5, I'm asking whether the controls which you have in your bank are actually required and whether these controls were successful in detecting the frauds and errors or not. Then I ask them how your controls are performing, whether anytime your controls have been bypassed. If it is bypassed, whether you will be able to detect it or not, and what was the impact of that bypass. Everyone crystal clear with all the each and every question in front of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no? So this is what do you mean by audit of controls of what? Banks. So if they will ask you this question, define the audit of control of banks. Will you be able to retain all this question and write it in the examination or not? Yes. Okay. Now, next thing which we have to understand. See, what are the types of advances generally the bank gives? Actually, this is just a chart. You just have to remember the chart only. You don't have to go deeper into that. Are you getting the point? What kind of loans the bank generally gives? Are you getting the point? That you have to understand. What kind of loans the bank generally gives? Bank generally gives which type of loans? Term loans, cash credit. Can anybody tell me what is the difference between term loan and cash credit? Term loans are basically long-term loans. Cash credit loans are short-term loans, which are to be repaid to the bank within a span of 1 year. Bill discounting is also kind of a loan or not? Tell me everyone.
Yes.
If some person will discount the bill with the bank, banker will get its payment immediately or he has to wait for the maturity time period.
What, sir?
If
Tell me again.
if there is one person who is having one bill of exchange, is in need of money, he came to the bank and discounted it. You all know the concept of bill of exchange or not?
Yes.
Yes, the banker can discount after deducting some discounting charges or not? Yes,
Yes.
but banker will get its payment immediately or banker has to wait till the time of maturity.
Till the time of maturity.
Yeah, on the maturity date, what if the drawee will not pay the money? Whether the person to whom the discounting have done has defaulted the money or not? Yes, so bill discounting is also one of the loan. Till the time the banker does not receive its money, it is a kind of loan only now, right or not? Yes, the bank overdraft, you might have heard so many times, bank OD. Demand loans are also there. Loans which are secured by the tangible assets, like we generally take the home loans. Are you getting the point? While taking the home loans, do we give the security or not? Yes, but there are some loans which the bank gives to you unsecured also, like credit card. Are you getting the point? Credit card where you don't have to give any security. It is also kind of a loan only. You have a
Personal
credit,
loan.
you can use the credit of the bank for 40-45 days. Then there are some loans which are guaranteed by the government loans. We call it as SCST loans, OBC loans, and all those things. Then there are some sector type of loans in India, priority sector loans, public sector loans, and others. Let me tell you what do you mean by priority sector loans. Now, everyone, please tell me, a country develops due to its development of infrastructure or not?
Yes.
Yes. So tell me one thing. If the L&T company or the GMR company or big construction companies will take the loans from the banks, whether the banks should reject their application or should accept their application,
Accept.
because they are nothing but contributing towards the development of the infrastructure things in the India or not? Yes. So those people will always get the priority over the other sector. So they are known as priority sector loans. Then we have public sector loans like loans to the government
Every
teachers,
loan.
loan to the government employees, loan to the government teachers, and other category. Then outside India, may we have dues from the banks and dues from the others. What do you mean by dues from the banks and dues from the others? Now, say for example, you can say that ki SBI given a loan to the New York bank. Are you getting the point? So that is the loan granted within India or outside India?
Outside.
Outside India. So there can be loans in India and outside India. Then RBI prudential norms may we have standard assets and NPAs. Can anybody tell me the full form of NPA?
Non-performing asset.
Non-performing asset. What do you mean by non-performing assets? Who are paying their EMIs regularly or who are defaulting it?
Defaulters.
Defaulting it. Then long-term category may which loans comes? Term loan come, and short term category में which loan comes? Cash credit, working capital loan, bill discounting, and bank OD. So this is just a simple chart you have to understand. What they may ask you is what are the types of loan the banks making can give. So out of that 10 to 15 names you have to remember: term loans, cash credit loan, bill discounting loans, bank overdraft loans, demand loans, loans secured by tangible, unsecured, secured by government guarantees in India, priority sector, public sector, other outside India, dues from the banks and dues from the other banks, then standard loans, then NPA loans. All these, the names only you have to remember. No need to remember anything inside it. Did you all understand? Now, The next thing what we have to understand is all about NPAs now. What do you mean by NPA? I think, let me just see whether this is a chart applicable. Let us see from the ICA. We're doing audit of banks, right? The audit of banks, let me just a note of your NPAs. Again, go back to. Hmm. Yeah. This is what I was talking about. Just now we have done this chart or not? Advances in India, outside India, priority sector, public sector. This is what we were talking about. There is NPA. Yes, here it is. Special mention. I'm just going to take. Yes, this one. Okay. I think 15, 25, 40, 100, 100. And here also what we have 15, 25, 40, 100. Yes, correct only. So no changes have come. So everyone, now we are going to start talk about the prudential norms relating to NPA. Everyone, please understand. NPA stands for non-performing assets, basically. So what is the actual meaning of NPA? Actual meaning of NPA is having a different meaning. Like say for example, if you will read the meaning of NPA in the audit of NBFC chapter, which is there in your CA final, there the meaning of NPA is completely different. But in the bank audit mein NPA ka meaning is different. So generally, when do we call that ki something and some asset is an NPA? If it is overdue for more than how many days, everyone? 90 days. Just remember this word. NPA means your amount is overdue for more than how many days? 90 days. And I am saying overdue for more than 90 days. So suppose 1st April was my due date. I didn't pay the whole month of April. So 30 days overdue. Didn't pay the whole month of what do you say, May. 31 days overdue. And 31 plus 30 total 61 days. And 29th June also I didn't pay. Up to 29th June I didn't pay. Then on the 30th June onwards, my loan will be treated as an NPA in the books of the bank. Did you all understand the concept of NPA or not? Yes, everyone? Yeah, so it's a very simple thing. Suppose you are supposed to pay a loan back to the banker. You have not paid for more than 90 days. Now tell me, was your due date already over or not? Yes. Even after your due date, you have taken more than how many days? 90 days. Still you have not paid. So after your due date, 90 days will be calculated. And within those 90 days also, if you have not paid, then only your loan will be declared as what? NPA. Everyone crystal clear now? Yes or no? Now, what do you mean by NPA? NPA means three things. If you are non-payment of principal or interest for more than what? 90 days. Neither you paid the principal amount, nor you paid the interest amount for more than how many days? 90 days.
90 days.
Then your loan will be treated as what? NPA. If
NPA.
your bank account is overdraft and you have taken a cash credit loan and it is out of order for more than 90 days. Let me tell you one thing. What do you mean by out of order? Suppose you are doing the debits, but there is not even a single rupee credit. Dekho, remember one thing. OD and CC loan means what? There are debits and there are credits. There are debits, there are credits. It should be a regular debits and credits. Then only the banker will have a confidence on your account and banker will give you some limit like 5 lakh, 10 lakhs. You okay, from your account, sometimes if you need 10 lakh rupees extra also you can withdraw. That is called overdraft. Yes or no? But
Yes.
banker is giving you that limit. Why? Because your credits are also coming na every day. Some credits are also coming, some debits are going on. But suppose it's been more than 90 days, only debits are happening, but no credit is coming to your account, then the banker is worried or not? Yes, the banker will declare your OD and CC loan. So remember one thing, OD and CC loan may you will not use the word called non-payment. Non-payment word will be used in case of loan. In case of OD and CC, you have to use the word called what? Out of order. What is the word you have to use, everyone? Out of order for more than 90 days. And if your bill discounting remains overdue for more than what? 90 days. You discounted a bill and the person who has to pay you the money is not paying the money. You waited for 90 days, he's still not paid. More than 90 days also over from the maturity. Now to tell me, chances of recovery are higher or lower?
Higher.
Lower. The chances of recovery are very lower. More than 90 days are over, you are not able to get the money. Then in that case, that bill discounting also will be treated as what? NPA. Did you get the point or not? But remember one thing, more than what? 90 days. This is the main criteria, more than 90 days. Now, in case the NPAs are declared, then in that case, suppose if you are an NPA category, up to 12 months, up to how many months, everyone? 12 months. It means, now listen, after 90 days you became NPA. Am I correct or not? From the date of due, you were overdue for more than 90 days, you became NPA. You are in the NPA category for the next 12 months. You will be treated as which asset? Substandard asset. What is the name of your asset now?
Substandard
So
asset.
now you are no more an NPA. You became substandard asset. Remember one thing, overdue date, more than 90 days, you became NPA. And you are in NPA category up to how many months? 12 months. You will be treated as what? Substandard asset. Are you getting the point? If you are in the substandard category up to 12 months or more than 12 months, then these three categories will start. Suppose if you are in the substandard category for 12 months, then you will be treated as doubtful up to 1 year. If you are in the substandard category from 1 to 3 years, you will be treated as doubtful up to 1 to 3 years. And if you are in the substandard category for more than 3 years, you will be treated as doubtful for more than what? 3 years. Did you get the point? And when the bank thinks that, when the external auditor of the bank thinks that, when the RBI inspector thinks that or declares that this loan now cannot be recovered. Now tell me, it is a recoverable asset or loss asset?
Loss asset.
Then you will be treated as a loss asset. Crystal clear, everyone? This is the category you all have to remember. So I am removing this so that you can understand that. So tell me, did you all understand the whole chart? So tell me one thing. Okay, when do you call yourself as an NPA? When the bank will declare you as an NPA? When you are overdue for more than how many days?
90 days.
90 days.
90 days. You are in NPA category for 12 months. You are what?
Standard asset.
Substandard asset. You are in substandard asset now for 1 month. You are one year, then doubtful up to 1 year. 1 to 3 years, doubtful up to 1 to 3 years. More than 3 years, doubtful for more than 3 years. But when the RBI, when the RBI inspector, when the bank, when the external auditor all said that ki our hands are up, this money cannot be recovered, then you will be declared as what?
Loss of asset.
Loss of asset. Now listen to this point. Why I told you this? Because you are already having an idea ki slowly loss is happening. Are you getting the point? So when you already have an idea ki slowly bad debt is going to happen, are you going to provide the provision for bad debts or not? Yes, that is what the banker has to do. What the banker will do, if you are in the substandard category, which category? Substandard category. For your secured portion, 15% provision will be created. For your unsecured portion, 25% provision will be created. Sir, what do you mean by secured? What do you mean by unsecured? Let me tell you one thing. Suppose you have taken a loan of 1 crore, but you have given a security of only 60 lakhs. Tell me, how much the loan is secured?
60 lakhs,
How much is unsecured?
40 lakhs,
So on that 60 lakhs, you have to create how much provision?
15,
And for the 40 lakhs, you have to create how much?
20.
25%. In case you are a which asset, everyone?
Substandard.
Substandard asset. But once you come into the category of doubtful assets, then in that case, for the secured portion 25 up to 1 year and unsecured 100%. 1 to 3 years के लिए 40% and for the unsecured 100%. More than 3 years का 100% and unsecured 100% and loss asset में तो definitely what? 100%. So can I say that there is no difference between doubtful for more than 3 years and loss of asset? Yes, they both are same. Crystal clear, everyone? This chart you always have to remember. First of all, tell me everyone in the comment box when the bank declares you as an NPA. If you are overdue for more than how many days?
90 days.
90 days. And if you are in the NPA category for 12 months, what you are?
Substandard.
Substandard. Then how much provision the bank has to create for your secured portion of loan?
15%.
15%. For the unsecured?
25%.
25%. Now you are in the doubtful category up to 1 year, 2500. You are in the doubtful category of 1 to 3 year, 4000. You are more than 3 year, 100. And your loss asset
100%.
100. But remember one thing, loss asset you just like that cannot declare. Who has to declare? Either bank has to declare, external auditor has to declare, or who has to declare? RBI inspector has to declare. Then only you will be declared as what? Loss asset. And once you are declared as loss asset, how much is the provision, everyone? 100% provision. Everyone, is there any doubt in this point or no doubt? If anyone is having a doubt, you can raise. Otherwise, we can proceed to the next point.
So bank is having a right to ask to repay the loan. They have to return up the
Actually, what happens? There is one special act for that. Do you remember I told you one act called SARFAESI Act? Do you remember this? SARFAESI, I told you. Yeah, what is the meaning of SARFAESI? Full form क्या था? Securitization and reconstruction of fixed financial asset and enforcement of what? Security interest. So what the bank will do, once it is declared as a loss asset, what the bank will do? Bank will make a pool of all these kind of assets. These kind of, bad assets, bank will make a pool. And bank will sell this pool to these, the doubtful up to 1 year means years from. Doubtful up to 1 year means? Yes. Correct. Okay, 12 months of NPA category common and 12 months of substandard. Very nice. Correct. And you are in the doubtful category up to 1 year. Then if it is 1 to 3 years, then 40/100. I hope you understood, right? Komal? Yes. Now, everyone, please understand. Whenever these kind of loans will come in the bank, what the bank will do? Bank will sell these loans to securitization and reconstruction companies. Sir, who are securitization and reconstruction company? They are the rowdy people. Rowdy people means what? They have, other means of recovery. They will come to your house. They will take over the possession of your property. They will take away your bike, take away your car. So what the bank will do now? If the bank will do these kind of unnecessary things, then tell me whether the reputation of the bank will go down or not. Yes or no? So bank, what do we do? Bank is very clever fellow. Bank is saying, "Eh, come this side. Who? Securitization and reconstruction company. These are the pool of my loss assets. Whatever you will recover on that, this much of percentage of commission I'll pay you." Now tell me, for bank, is it a dead money or not? Yes.
Yes.
But if the securitization and reconstruction company will recover the money, whether the bank will get the income or not?
Something
Yes.
will get
Yeah, something is always better than nothing.
zero.
Yeah, seriously. So
So
everyone, did you?
recently,
Yeah.
recently, SBI Bank, I think, sold this kind of asset to Reliance company.
I'm telling you, every Wednesday newspaper you see, everyone, every Wednesday newspaper, Economic Times paper may you will see on the page number 7th or page number 8th where you will find the SARFAESI Act. You know, bank will give the auctions of so many properties. And remember one thing, so many people intentionally buy the houses, intentionally buy the cars and bikes in that auction because bank just wants to recover its loan amount. So what the bank will do, you can do the bargaining with the bank. Okay, I'm ready to buy this house. Actually, the market value of the house is 5 crores. Bank is ready to give you even at 1 crore also. Why? Because the bank is not interested in profit. Bank is interested in recovering its what?
Something.
Principal. Yes. So that's the reason so many people, attend these auctions made by the bank so that they can get the good deal. Getting a house of 5 crores at the rate of 2 crores or 2.5 crores, or getting a big car, or a Mercedes, Audi and all those things at the rate of 10-20 lakhs only. I think that is not a bad deal. People intentionally, you know, go for these kind of things. So everyone crystal clear or not? Yes. Now, the next thing what we have to understand, everyone, the next thing what we have to understand is mode of creation of securities. What do you mean by securities? I'll tell you the meaning of the securities first. Are you able to see the different names, everyone? You can see the word called mortgage is written, word hypothecation is written, word pledge is written, word assignment is written, word lien is written, and word set off is written. Are you getting the point? So these are the different words what the generally bank uses. Now tell me one thing, when the bank can use the word called mortgage. Bank generally uses the word called mortgage only when someone has given the immovable property as a security. Which property, everyone? Immovable property.
Movable.
So whenever the immovable property is given as a security, either by registering the property in the mortgager name or just by delivering the property papers, it is known as what? Mortgage. So say for example, generally we use the word called mortgage in the name of home loans. So the home loans from the builder, the original papers of the home will be in your custody or will be in the bank custody?
Bankers
Bank
name itself.
custody. Once you will repay the full loan, the whole original papers will be given to you. Are you getting the point or not? So it means your loan, your home being a immovable property is being mortgaged with the bank. That is what do you mean by the word called mortgage. Now, what do you mean by hypothecation, everyone? Hypothecation is basically used for the short-term loans. Now, say for example, I don't have immovable property, but yes, in my company, I have a stock, that is inventory, and I have the debtors. What do you mean by debtors, everyone? Money received or money receivable?
Movable.
That is your asset only now. So instead of giving the immovable property as a security, when I give my stock and debtors as a security to the bank, in that case, bank never uses the word called mortgage. It uses a word called what? Hypothecation. So you can say that hypothecation is basically used for which kind of property? Movable property. Which kind of property, everyone? Movable property. So under this agreement, the charge will be created in favor of the lending bank in relation to stock and debtors, whereas in actual, neither the ownership nor the possession will be transferred to the bank. What do you mean by that? Tell me one thing. I am just allowing the bank that in case I will default, you can come to my godown, you can shut down my godown, take all the inventory and sell it in the market and recover your money. But did I tell to the bank that ownership and possession both I am giving to you? No. If you'll give the ownership and possession of your stock and debtor to your bank, then how you will run the business? When you will sell the stock, then only you will run the business or not? Yes. So we do not use the word called mortgage. We use the word called what? hypothecation in that case. Now, what is the third word? Third word is known as pledge. It involves the bailment of security for a loan or a debt obtained. Here, ownership still lies with the pledger only. Let's take an example, simple example. I went to Raja sir, and to the Raja sir, I said that, ki, sir, there is my car, and I'm in need of 4 lakh rupees. You please give me the loan of 4 lakh rupees and take my car. Now tell me one thing, did I simply pledged my goods or not? Yes, with the Raja sir gave me the car. But remember one thing, here Raja sir can use my car?
No.
No, I just gave the bailment. And once I will return the money to Raja sir, what is the Raja sir's responsibility? He has to return the goods in the same shape, same manner back to me. Are you getting the point or not?
No
The-
unauthorized use.
No unauthorized use. Yes. Remember, I'm only giving the possession, not the ownership. Did you get the point or not? Yes. Then we use the word called what? Pledge. Then what is the next word, everyone? Assignment. What do you mean by assignment? Basically, actionable claims or future debtors will be given in the favor of lending person. Now tell me one thing. Debtors are nothing but my assets only, na? Right or not? Actionable claim means what? Ki those debtors which are very much certain to me that ki, yes, they will pay the money, and if they will not pay the money, I can have an actionable claim over them. Now tell me whether to the bank you can give your debtors as a security or not. To the bank, you are taking a loan, and bank is asking where is the security. You are saying that take my debtors as your security. Now tell me one thing. Now who will recover the money from those debtors? You will recover or bank will recover directly? Tell me.
That is my doubt.
Bank will recover because you are assigning the bank to recover your money. Are you getting the point or not? Now, to those debtors, you will not go and ask the money. Those debtors directly will pay the money to whom? Bank. That is what do you mean by assignment. It means for those debtors, you are not the recoverable person. You are not at all the recoverable person. Now, bank is the person where those persons will go and pay their money. Did you all understand the meaning of assignment now? So mortgage, hypothecation, pledge. Acha, you might be thinking that, sir, in the hypothecation also we have given the debtors or not. But in the hypothecation, you can have an access over the debtors only in case of default. But here, though, I'm telling to the bank, give me the money. I'm in need of that. These are my debtors. Within 10 days, they are going to become due. Please go there and collect my cash. Or please go and collect my. For that, bank will say that, why should I do it for free? Bank will charge the assignment charges. So suppose if you are giving the debtors of 1 crore, do you think that the bank will give you the 1 crore of loan? No. Bank
No.
will give you only 70 lakhs of loan. Bank will keep the 30 lakhs of bracket with itself. Because sometimes some debtors may pay, may not pay or not.
Huge return and
Huh?
also huge risk for
Sorry?
bank side.
Sorry?
Huge return, huge profit for this kind of loan.
Very huge profit. Suppose if the banker will be able to recover the total 1 crore of debtors, what is the profit of the banker? 30
30
lakhs. That is the reason. See, it's all about win-win situation. Now, I'm in need of my money. I can't wait for the next 3 months to recover the money because I have an urgent piece of work. So for me, giving away the 30 lakhs is also not a big problem. Are you understanding the point? It's about win-win situation. You went to the bank for that purpose only, right? Yeah, so 10%, 20%, 15%, that is all nothing but discussed between the borrower and the lender at the point of giving. Now, so mortgage, hypothecation, pledge and assignment, everyone. Any doubt or no doubt? No doubt. Now, next point, everyone, that is called lien. Sir, when do we use the word called lien? When somebody does not pay my professional fees and his property is already there in my custody, then I can keep that property till the time the other person is not releasing my professional fees. In that case, we use the word called what? Lien, everyone. It's a very simple concept. Say, for example, there is one chartered accountant who is an auditor of ABC Limited. Now, ABC Limited books of accounts are there in the office of chartered accountant. Chartered accountant did the audit, and now he's saying that to the ABC Limited, please send my audit fees check. ABC Limited is saying, no, no, no. we don't have the money, we will not give you the audit fees. Now tell me what the chartered accountant should do.
Keep the books.
Keep the books. Now keeping the books was already in your custody, or you brought the books later on?
Right?
Already in the custody. So then in that case it is called lien, because lien stands for which possession, everyone? Lien stands for lawful possession. It was already in your custody. Somebody did not pay your professional fees or legal fees, then only you can keep it. It's not that you have already returned and later on you will take your gun and go to that fellow, "Oi, give me my securities and all." That thing you can't do, because that is lawful or unlawful? Unlawful. Yes. And what is the last word we have to remember, everyone? That is called set off. What is the last word? That is called set off. Now let us understand what do you mean by the term called set off. Set off means where a single party holds the debit balance and credit balance in the bank, it has a right to do the set off in case of default. Now it's a very simple thing. No, Komal. Factoring is a very bigger concept. Factoring means there are some bad debts, bad loans to me, and I am giving to the factors to recover those loans for me. That is called factoring. Here, though, I am simply telling to the bank that I have debtors to recover. I need the money right now. You recover it on your own time. So I hope now you got the difference between them. Yes. Okay. So everyone, please tell me. Suppose if I have 1 crore of FD with the SBI, and I have taken 1 crore of loan also from the SBI, do I have a both debit and credit balance with the SBI or not?
Yes.
Yes. In case I will default the money, what the SBI will do?
Set off the set
In
off the
that case,
deposit.
it is being used as a set off. So everyone, what are the 6 names we understood? We understood the meaning of mortgage. We understood the meaning of hypothecation. We understood the meaning of pledge. We understood the meaning of assignment. We understood the meaning of lien. And we understood the meaning of what? Set off. Everyone crystal clear? Any doubt or no doubt? No doubt. It's a very small chapter actually. Small, you can't say small, but very easy actually. This is what do you mean by some of the concepts, right or not? Chalo, next topic. Types of advances as per NPS. Now, I already told you about the NPS or not, but there are two different kind of NPS you have to understand right now. Now, tell me one thing. Have you heard of agricultural loans or not?
Yes.
Yes. Now, listen to this very carefully, which I am going to tell. Suppose there is one agriculturist. He's a borrower. He went to the bank and told to the bank that, sir, I want a loan. Banker said that, okay, we will give you the loan. But which kind of loan you are looking for? Is your crop is a short-term crop or a long-term crop? The agriculturist said that, no sir, my crop is a long-term crop. It takes 1 year for me to grow that crop. After that, it takes another 6 months to cut that crop. It means approximately 18 months crop season is there. So what is the crop season now, sir? Short term or long term?
Long term.
Long term. Ab sunna dhyan se. This agriculturist took the loan, but he failed to repay the loan. Now, when this loan will be declared as NPA, this loan will be declared as NPA if the principal and
18
installment
months
is
plus
overdue
90
for
days.
one crop season. No 90 days now. That is what I'm telling you. This is different. Here NPA it will be declared if it is overdue for one crop season. Now tell me, what was one crop season in this case? 18 months. Did you get the point or not? So if the farmer has taken a long crop loan and if he is unable to pay principal or interest, then it will be declared if it is overdue for one crop season. And the same loan if the farmer has taken as a short-term crop loan, in that case, bank will declare it as an NPA after 2 crop seasons. Did you get the point or not? Everyone, did you understand? Now,
Crop season means
2 crop season if it is a short term duration loan. Suppose my crop is only 6 month season. 6 months is a season for the crop. Now I took a loan for 6 months. I failed to pay. After 6 months, do I have to repay the loan or not? Once the cutting and everything will be done, I will sell it in the market, recover the money and pay it to the bank. But suppose that did not happen. 6 months are over. Now tell me, one crop season gone and another 6 months are over. After this, it will be declared as what? NPA. So in case of short duration crop loans, it is 2 seasons what the bank has to wait. After that, it will be declared as NPA. If it is a long-term crop duration loan, then the bank has to wait only for what? One crop season, everyone. Did you all understand what I'm trying to tell?
Sir, long-term crop means 18 months. After 18 months only
I'm
due will
not
come.
saying 18 months. I just gave you the example.
Okay.
See, 18
After
months.
18 months only due will come.
Listen to this thing. Today is April 1st. You went to the bank to take a loan. Bank gave you the loan. What is your crop season? 18 months. Means when you will be able to recover that money?
After
Whatever the
September 19.
September
Oh,
2022. Am I correct or not?
Yes.
Right or not? Now, after September 2022, suppose your crop is completely failed. Now, are you able to repay the money?
No.
So, what is your due date?
September
Now,
2022.
bank has to wait another what?
Another crop.
18 months. It means March 2024.
Oh,
March 2024, the bank will declare you as a what? NPA. Did you get the point?
yes,
Here
sir.
90 days criteria. It all depends upon ki what is the meaning of long duration crop. Are you getting the point or not? That all depends upon ki in the bank rules and regulation. What do you mean by long duration crop? Are you getting the point? If it is long duration, the bank has to wait after the due date. It has to wait for one crop season. Did you get the point or not? But if it is a short duration crop season, now it banker will wait for how many crop seasons?
Two crop
Two
seasons.
crop seasons. Did you get that? It all depends upon ki which bank is having what kind of season given in that. Clear everyone? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Now, there is one small topic which you have to understand everyone, which is written in front of you in one line. Now, what is that topic? The topic name is known as advance to the staff. Everyone, please tell me generally what the bank does when the bank gives you the loan. When the banker gives you the loan, whether the banker receives the interest first or principal later. It's a very simple thing.
Interest first.
Remember,
Interest first.
yes, very nice,
Principal
very nice.
later.
So if the bank is giving loan to outsiders, remember one thing, banker never recovers the principal first. Banker never recovers the principal first. Banker first recovers what?
Interest.
First it recovers the interest and then what? Principal. But if the same bank has given the loan to its own staff, then in that case, first the banker recovers principal, later on interest. Because the loan is given to the staff, staff may pay the interest later on. Are you getting the point or not? But in case of outsider, first the banker is interested in income or not?
Yes.
Principal is not an income. What is the income for the bank? Interest. Therefore, it will recover the interest first. But if the same bank is giving the loan to its own staff, they're recovering the principal first and interest later on. Did you all understand the difference between both the types of loan? Yes, everyone. I hope all of you are understanding whatever the concepts we are doing. Yes. Now, what is the next topic we have to understand, everyone? Next topic is a very simple topic. I don't know how many of you have done the stock audit. Anybody in the class who has done the stock audit? Stock audit. You can unmute and tell me if you have an experience of doing the stock audit in your firm.
Yes, sir.
You have done the stock audit.
Yeah, yes.
What's your name?
Manoran.
Manoran. So Manoran, where did you do the stock audit?
SPF Parvels.
Okay,
Okay.
so what was your like client was a manufacturer or trader
Manufacturer,
of
cotton yarn.
cotton yarns? Okay. So you might have done that in the stock audit every monthly basis the client has to submit a stock statement.
No, sir.
No, sir. Who told
Every
you that?
month is not possible.
Monthly
Yearly
stock?
twice.
No, no, no. I'm not saying you are doing stock audit every month.
Okay.
I'm saying your client has to deposit the stock statement with the bank on monthly basis. Am I correct or
Yeah,
not? And quarterly
yes.
basis, right or not? You will to do only the stock audit once in a year. Are you getting the point or not?
Yes.
Yeah. So banker must have given you the appointment letter to go to their client, go to their customer and do the stock audit on the behalf of the banker. Am I correct or not?
Yes, sir.
So when you went to the stock audit, what did you calculate over there? Do you calculate drawing power? I'll tell you what.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
will tell you what do you mean by drawing power.
Based
Everyone,
on
try
the
to,
stock.
yeah, try to understand. Very important concept, very beautiful concept also. Suppose SBI is there. Now this SBI has given the loan to the ABC Manufacturers Limited. Are you getting the point? What is the loan amount? 10 crores. Now SBI has given a which loan? It has given a CC loan. Sir, what do you mean by CC loan? Cash credit loan.
That's pretty.
Now as ABC manufacturer is saying that okay, my stock, my debtors are hypothecated to you. Am I correct or not? Yes. Now SBI will hire one practicing chartered accountant. Please go to my customer and do the physical verification of the stock. Am I correct or not?
Yes.
Please go to my customer and please do the physical verification of the stock and physical verification of the debtor, and please tell me whether the stock and debtor which the customer has offered to the bank is sufficient or not. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now this practicing CA will go to the ABC Manufacturer Limited to do the which audit? Stock audit. Now when the stock audit was being done, what this practicing CA will do, he will calculate one power that is called drawing power. We call it as which power, everyone? Drawing power. Drawing power of ABC Manufacturing Limited, he will calculate. Sir, what do you mean by drawing power? There is one formula. Listen to this very carefully. Stock plus debtors minus creditors minus margin is equal to drawing power. Now, say for example, when this practicing CA went to the manufacturing limited, he saw that the stock is 16 crores. Debtors are 4 crores. Creditors are 8 crores. So tell me, 8 crores, do we have to add or less?
Minus.
Minus. Now, what is the total answer coming, everyone?
12.
12 crores. So 12 crores, but 20% is a margin which is always kept by the banker. What is the 20% margin of 12 crores? 2.4 crores. Am I correct or not? So that margin also we have to reduce 2.4 crores. Now tell me, what is the drawing power coming? 9.6 crores. Now what is the drawing power everyone came? 9.6 crores. I hope all of you understood or not. Yes.
Yes.
But tell me, how much loan the banker has given?
10 crore.
What is the drawing power of the customer came?
9.6
Now
crore.
tell me whether the security is less or security is more.
More.
Now this auditor will go to the banker and issue the stock audit report. And what the banker will do? Banker will reduce the loan to what? 9 crore. Did you understand the point or not?
Yes.
Yes. Did you all understand, those who are watching this video? Please let me know in the comment box. This is called the formula of calculating the drawing power, everyone. What is the drawing power? Stock plus debtors minus creditors minus margin. If that amount, acha, say for example, if that amount is 12.6 crores, everyone. Suppose the drawing power came out as 12.6 crores. Then what the banker will do? Banker will do anything to the loan, or as it is, it will go.
10.
As it is, it will go, because banker is having a sufficient security in their pocket. Even if that person will be unable to repay the loan, can I sell the stock debtor? And after deducting my margin, still I have the better security or not? Yes. So that's the reason banker, and remember one thing, it is only calculated in those kind of loans which are greater than equals to 5 crores, which are, sorry, more than 5 crores. Remember one thing, stock audit is generally applicable on those audits only, on or those clients only who have taken the loan more than what? 5 crores.
5
Did you get the point? And client will not pay the audit fees here. Bank will pay the audit fees to your chartered accountant. Am I correct or not? Yes. So everyone, please read or have a reading. When a borrower takes a short-term loan in
So,
the
but
form of,
practically,
yeah, practically what?
bankers are expecting the same report in company's auditor only.
Nowadays, stock audit is no longer an extra audit. Stock audit has nowadays become a part of company audit only. So if already the statutory audit is being conducted on that company and there the company auditor has already verified the stock, I think that is very good substitute of your what do you say, stock audit. Am I correct or not? Nowadays, bank, it is unnecessary expenditure on the bank. Sir, banks collect fees from client. They will deduct it from their account. Yes, they will charge it to their account. Correctly said. But stock audit की इतनी ज़्यादा fees नहीं होती, 40-50,000 इससे ज़्यादा, not more than that. Right or not? So everyone, did you understand the concept? When a borrower takes a short-term loan in the form of CCL or working capital loan, in such case, such loan accounts must be kept within the sanction limit only. The banks must ensure that loans are secured by the adequate current assets. Monthly stock statements and quarterly returns must be filed by the borrower with the whom? Bank. The stock audit should be carried out by the bank on the loan exposure of more than how many crores, everyone?
5 crores.
5 crores. But in exceptional situations, on the advice of the auditor, it can be carried out on less exposure loans as well. So if the auditor gives the advice that, yes, sir, even though the loan amount is only 2 crores, but I think we should do the stock audit, then banker may take into consideration the suggestion given by the auditor and conduct the bank audit also. Everyone crystal clear? Any doubt or no doubt? No. Yes. Sorry, sir, you are not audible. Short term loans. Because in the long term loans, so we give the immovable property as a security, na? In the short term loans only, we give the stock and the debtors as a security generally. Clear or not? Yeah. Okay. Great. Now, audit and audit related provisions also, everyone. These are the favorite area of ICAI when it comes to, these questions like, this is the favorite area of ICAI when it comes to MCQ questions, right or not? So everyone, please try to understand what is the eligibility of the auditor. Eligibility of the auditor is same as what we have learned in section number 141. Did we learn the eligibility, qualification and disqualification in section number 141 or not?
Yes.
Yes. Same section is applicable to the bank auditors also. Now, what are those authorities who are going to appoint? Now, listen to this very carefully. Each and every word which we are going to do now is very, 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 very important. Now, try to understand. If you are becoming an auditor of any banking company, if you are becoming the auditor of any banking company, you will be appointed by the shareholders of the bank at the AGM with the prior approval of whom? RBI. With the prior approval of RBI. Very simple. So you are an auditor of a banking company, you will be appointed by the shareholders at the AGM with the prior approval of RBI, you will be appointed. But if you are an auditor of SBI, so everyone please tell me, SBI is the largest public sector bank or not? So
Yes.
can I call it as a government organization? Yes. So you will be
Yes.
appointed by whom? CNAG.
Audit Center.
And in consultation with whom? Central government. If you are the auditor of RRBs, everyone, what is RRB? Regional Rural Banks. Then you will be appointed by the bank only. No board of directors, no shareholder. Directly bank will appoint you in consultation again with whom? central government. And if you are an auditor of any nationalized bank in India, then by the board of directors with the prior approval of RBI. Did you all understand, everyone? So these are looking very easy, but it is very difficult to remember till the examination. So I am telling you right now only, make sure that you are 100% perfect in this particular thing. Tell me, everyone, if you're a banking
What
company,
do you
you will
mean by banking company and the
banking
nationalized
company
bank?
like you can say that Kotak Mahindra Limited, right or not? Nationalized banks means like Canara, PNB, OBC, all this. Banking company basically, you are a bank, but you are incorporated as a company. So if you are incorporated as a company, the company rules, so we already know you are always appointed by the shareholders at the AGM or not.
Yes.
Yes, that's the reason. Are you getting now? And so remember, everyone, if you are the auditor of banking company, you will be appointed by the shareholders at the AGM with the prior approval of RBI. If you are the auditor of the RRBs, oh sorry, SBI, then you will be appointed by the C&AG in consultation with central government. If you are the auditor of RRBs, you will be directly appointed by whom? Banks in consultation with whom? Central government. But if you are an auditor of nationalized banks, then in that case you will be appointed by the board of directors with the prior approval of whom? RBI. So there are two places where the RBI prior approval required, and there are two places where the central government prior approval required. RRB and SBI के केस में सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट प्रायर अप्रूवल रिक्वायर्ड एंड बैंकिंग कंपनीज एंड नेशनलाइज्ड बैंक के केस में RBI prior approval required. Is it correct or not?
Yes.
Yes,
Auditor of SBI because it has a own act.
That's
SBI
what.
regulation.
More
So
important
only
than
appointed by
that,
control.
it is a government company. And government company means who will be always appointing the.
Nationalized bank also a government only, no.
Sorry, who told you? Who told you? Who told?
Nationalized banks. 51%, more than 51% shares are held by
Nationalized? No, they are known as PSU banks.
public sector bank. Okay.
Nationalized doesn't mean that you are a public sector bank. Nationalized bank means you have a national presence. It means you have your banks in all the states. That is what makes you a nationalized bank. Like ICICI Bank. ICICI Bank is not a government organization, na?
But it is a nationalized bank.
Yeah, it is a nationalized bank. But SBI, it is a nationalized bank. At the same point of time, it is a government bank. Therefore, C&AG is involved in that.
So Indian Bank, Syndicate Bank, it is also, yeah.
Indian Bank, Syndicate Bank, they are all government PSUs. HDFC, Axis, Citi, ABN AMRO, Standard Chartered, these all are nationalized. So you will get a better clarity when you will read it on the Google. You will get a big clarity. List of nationalized banks in India, list of PSU banks in India. There is so much of confusion, but just restrict your knowledge up to this level only. You have to just understand about the appointment of the auditor. So tell me, if you're a banking company, who is appointing you?
AGM.
AGM में
And
shareholder is appointing you with the prior approval of
RBI.
RBI. And if you are a nationalized bank, who is appointing you? Board of directors are appointing you with the prior approval of RBI. But if you are SBI, then C&AG is appointing you with the prior approval of central government. And if you are a RRB, then also bank is directly appointing you with the consultation of what? CG. Clear, everyone? Yes or no? Yes. Now, how the remuneration of the bank auditors will be decided? Same section number 142, which we have learned in the company audit. Same section number 142 is applicable here. But for the nationalized bank, for the banking companies, it is fine because Companies Act will be applicable. But for the nationalized bank and SBI and RRB, it will be fixed by whom? RBI. In consultation with whom? Central government. So remember one thing, who fixes your remuneration if you're a banking company? Section number 142 के according. But if you're a nationalized bank, SBI bank, or you are a RRB bank, then your remuneration will be fixed by the RBI in consultation with whom? Central government, everyone. Crystal clear, everyone? Any doubt or no doubt? Okay, great. Now, powers of the auditor, same as company audit. Auditor's report, same as company audit. But there is one special auditor's report which you have to give when you are doing the audit of the bank. That is called LFAR. Those who have done the bank audit might have heard about this word, LFAR. Anybody has done the bank audit in the class? Anybody having an experience of doing the bank audit? Please write in the comment box, yes or no. No. Okay. So I think none of you is having that experience. Remember one thing, normal statutory audit report which you have learnt under SS 700. Do you remember that title, addressee, all those things? That so definitely you have to issue. But along with that, there is one separate audit report also you have to issue when you are the auditor of a bank. Which report, everyone? LFAR. We call it as LFAR. What is the full form of LFAR? Long form audit report. What is the full form, everyone? Long form audit report. And remember one thing, it is not a part of your statutory audit report. It is in addition to your statutory audit report, and it has to be submitted on or before 30th June every year. So right now, since yesterday, the audit of the banks have started. So generally, so we submit this report immediately while doing the audit of the banks only. But still, you have a time period. By 30th June also, you can submit this report. And let me tell you one thing, why it is called long form audit report. It is a report of almost 80 to 90 pages. But remember, 99.99% of the places you have to use the word called not applicable. That is practically I'm telling you, because most of the things are not applicable to that bank. So it is just a formality where you will just put the tick mark, not applicable, tick mark, not applicable. Huge report, and it has to be submitted to the bank on or before 30th June. Applicable for the public sector banks, private sector banks, and foreign banks. It means every bank indirectly. Clear, everyone? So everyone, please tell me who appoints the auditor of the nationalized banks. Write in the comment box.
Board of directors.
Huh?
National banks
Yeah.
funded by C.
Nationalized banks. Board of directors. Yes. Board of directors with prior approval of whom? RBI.
RBI.
Not
Sir.
CG, everyone. RBI. If you are a SBI, then Devdarshini. It's not CG, it's RBI.
Comptroller and Audit General.
Yeah,
Yeah.
comptroller and auditor. Remember one thing. Just simple one thing. When the bank is appointing you, when the C&AG is appointing you, CG approval is required. When the shareholder is appointing you, board of director is appointing you, RBI approval is required. Crystal clear? So tell me, if you're a banking company auditor, who is appointing you?
Shareholders.
Hmm.
Shareholders. Banking company and shareholders.
With the prior approval of whom? RBI.
RBI.
Nationalized Bank Board of Directors. Again with the prior approval of whom? RBI. SBI, C&AG in consultation with whom? Central government. And RRB Bank in consultation with whom? Central government. Central government. Clear or not? Right. Who will determine your remuneration if you are a banking company? 142. Yeah, but other than banking company, mein
Other than banking company.
RBI in consultation with central government. As simple as that.
Oh.
Do you have to issue one statutory audit report or statutory audit report plus LFAR
Yes, LFR.
on or before which date, everyone? 30th June every year. And it is applicable for everyone. Are you getting the point? And what matters to be declared, what matters not to be declared in the LFR, that RBI will tell you. Okay. So, next topic, everyone. Reporting to RBI. Everyone, do you remember section number 143 subsection 12, which you have done in the Companies Act? If the fraud amount is less than 1 crore, if the fraud amount is greater than equals to 1 crore, we have to report it to the central government within 60 days on auditor's letterhead. Otherwise, auditor will be facing a penalty. Do you all remember that? Duty to report a fraud. Same thing applies to the Banking Regulation Act also. So, duty to report the fraud as it is, section number 143 subsection 12 as per the Companies Act. If you want, I can show you also in our ICA material. Same concept is being given. This is our ICA material generally, which you do not open, but I will suggest that you should oftenly open it. because there are so many things sometimes extra you come to know from ICB. Let me show you. Are you able to see the same thing, everyone? If the fraud amount is less than 1 crore, you to just have to report it to audit committee and board of directors within 2 days. But if the fraud amount on the right side, you can say that more than equal to 1 crore. Do you have to report it to board of directors, audit committee within 2 days? Give them 45 days to give a reply, and in the next 15 days, report shall be prepared. Same as it is concept, which you have done in section number 143, subsection 12, while doing the company audit chapter. Clear, everyone? Any doubt or no doubt? Okay. Chalo. Let's understand how do we start.
టీవీ ఓపెన్ చేయి ఛానల్ పెట్టేది ఒకటి
తెలియంగానే పెట్టింది నేను తెలుసా
What happened? Is there any problem in the class? Is it a cross connection or somebody's? Okay. Now, am I clear to all of you? Please write in the comment box, everyone. Shall we start with the next topic? Yeah, okay. Hello. Oh, it's already 45. 8:45. Okay, now, everyone, now we have to understand how do we generally start our audit? How generally we should start our audit. So, remember one thing, it's not that ki bank has given you the audit, so you will immediately start doing the audit from tomorrow. No. Remember one thing, you alone never do the audit. You always do the audit with your engagement team. Do you all agree with me? Yes or no? Single-handedly, you can't do the audit. You need article assistants with you. You need audit assistants with you. You need engagement partner in a team. You need one audit manager in the team. You need the paid assistants in the team. So many group of people are required from the different expertise and level. Are you getting the point? So whenever the bank audit comes to you, first you develop an engagement team in your bank audit. So say for example, right now on the, I think 12th April onwards, I'll be going to the bank audit. So at that point of time, I already told to my staff ki, okay, this is what the things we are going to do in the bank audit. These are the kind of frauds and errors the banks will do. So you need to have a lot of engagement team discussion, everyone. Why? Because out of my all articles, some are experienced one, but some are might be the fresh articles or not. Yes, the fresh articles means it is their very first year of articles and they might not be aware of the fact that what to do, what not to do in the bank audit. So remember that while doing the bank audit, first have some briefings and debriefings with your team. Are you getting the point? Make them understand okay, what is the environment in the bank, what is applicable on the bank, which statutes govern the bank. Make them understand about the bank first. Then tell them something about these are the internal control system generally we find in the bank. Then tell them that this is how the bank works. This is where the frauds and errors will be there. This is what they will try to hide. So tell me one thing, if I keep my team ready at the planning stage only, whether my audit will be fruitful or fruitless. Tell me everyone, if I'll keep my team ready in the beginning only, whether my audit will be fruitful or fruitless. It will be a fruitful audit. Am I correct or not? It will be a complete successful audit. That is what we do generally when we talk about the bank audit. So what is the step number 1, everyone? Read it carefully in front of you. Which team discussion? Engagement team discussion. What do you mean by engagement team discussion? It is advisable to hold some discussions with your engagement team to gain the better understanding of the bank, its controls, environment, and chances of potential material misstatement. What do you mean by material misstatement, everyone? Frauds and errors. So make sure that you, your partner, your engagement team, everyone should be 200% ready before entering into the client's place, before entering into the bank. That is called which stage, everyone? It is called a which stage, everyone? It is called as a planning stage. It is known as a planning stage. Now, while doing the discussions, what kind of discussions you should do with your engagement team? You should do the discussions with your engagement team like what kind of errors that likely may happen. I'm not saying errors are happening, because you can be very much certain when you're doing the audit. This is what we are discussing at the planning stage. So my past experience say, I will tell to my team, these are the errors that may likely to occur. Then these are the errors identified in the previous years. So when I did the audit of the last years of these banks, these kind of errors I found out. So there may be a possibility that the same errors may happen this year also. Methods by which the frauds will be hidden by the bank officers. So I'll keep them ready. I'll polish their skills. Okay. Sometimes the bank manager will not give you the information. Sometimes the bank managers would like to do the fraud in this way, fraud in that way. So they would like to hide the fraud in this way and that way. So I have to share each and every of my experience with my engagement team. Then I'm also telling my team to always have a professional skepticism throughout the audit. Maintain professional skepticism throughout the year. If the bank manager is telling you something, never take his things 100% correctly only. Question it. Question it. So always have a questioning mind. Always be ready with the questioning mind. And always be alert. Always be alert. Always keep your eyes open, because so many kinds of material misstatements you may come across when you will do the audit. So these are the basically 5 matters we discuss with our engagement team, everyone. I hope all of you are understanding what I'm saying. Yes or no? Write in the comment box, everyone. All of you are understanding whatever I'm discussing right now? Yes. So remember one thing, you have to prepare your team first. So when you're preparing your team first, it is your responsibility to ensure that they should know about the bank, they should know about the environment of the bank, they should know about the controls of the bank, they should know about each and every inch of information about the bank. So what are the things we will discuss with them so that they will come to know? I will discuss that these are the types of errors which may happen. These are the types of errors which I found in my previous year audit experience. These are the various different ways by which the bankers will try to hide these kind of frauds and errors. Always be ready with the questioning mind. Always use professional skepticism, and make sure that you should always be alert while doing the bank audit. Everyone, please tell me, crystal clear, everything went inside your head? If you will say yes, we'll go to the next page. Crystal clear. Each and everything went inside your head. Very nice. Now, Acha, tell me everyone, what is the advantage of discussion with your audit team? What kind of advantage you get when you discuss the things with your audit team? Tell me one thing, when I'll discuss the things with my audit team, can I say that seniors are going to exchange their experience with the juniors?
Yes.
Am I correct or not? And juniors will feel, very much confident, very much loyal, very much trustworthy. Okay, senior has done this kind of experience. I will. So that makes you excited actually when you discuss these kind of things with your audit staff. I think all of you will like come across this kind of situation when you will all go through your articleship while doing the bank audit. बहुत मजा आता है sir. I think the best golden period in your 3 years of articleship is doing the 3 times bank audit. Right or not? You will be having a 5-star stay. You will be having a 5-star food, fooding, lodging, traveling. Everything will be taken care of the bank. Are you gonna? I think that is the time when the articleship person or article student enjoys the most. Are you getting the point? 5-star stay, 7-star stay. Bankers will be running after you. They'll be running after you with the like bunch of food and with a bunch of things. After every hour they will be asking you, sir, something required or not, sir, shall we go for a lunch or not? That kind of respect generally you don't see when you become a normal article, but in the bank audit they will treat you like a god. You will enjoy a lot. That's the reason I always tell my all the articles, like, be ready for the bank audit. This is your best opportunity. Eat whatever you want to eat. Do whatever you want to do after coming from the bank audit. Go and visit the beaches and here and there, wherever we go for the outside bank audit. So remember one thing, that is one of your golden opportunity as a article assistant. You learn a lot also. Like, you will be able to see lot of cash, lot of jewelry boxes, all those things. It gives you a lot of exposure when you do the bank audit. And remember one thing, when you discuss the things with your audit team, it really pushes their knowledge, it really pushes their confidence. It really pushes them to do something in their life. So always remember, if you have an experience, share it with anyone. Because keeping the experience with yourself, keeping the knowledge limited to yourself will not grow you. Only the sharing will grow you. Like I share each and everything what I know in my subject with my students. I hope you all agree with that. Am I correct or not? I never feel like ki something I know and I should not tell to you people, because until unless I will not display my 100% knowledge to you, how can I say that ki yes, I have earned the respect from the students and all? I hope all of you will agree with that. Yes or no? So make sure that there are some informal things and there are some formal things. These are all required to be shared in our noble profession called teaching profession. Then only you can say that yes, you have earned the respect of the student. And I feel very passionate when I teach. I feel very much privileged when I teach. Ki yes, something I have created. So I will call myself as a factory of chartered accountants and factory of CMAs. You all must have seen that ki recently in the CMA exam only we have produced 17 ranks in my first batch of CMA. I just took the last August May I took one regular batch, first batch of CMA. I produced the 17 ranks out of 50 ranks in the CMA. Right or not? Same is the case happening with the CEO also. People are liking the subject. I hope you also like the subject, everyone. Those who are watching.
Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
I
Yes,
hope
sir.
I'm justifying your expectations. So this is how you earn the crowd. This is how you earn the things. Okay. So these are the things you have to discuss. So what are the advantages, everyone? It provides an understanding amongst the engagement team. It provides what? Understanding amongst the engagement team about the nature, time, and extent of the audit procedure. So in the beginning only you know that whether you have to go hard on the bank or you have to go soft on the bank. Like TOC you have to do or TOD you have to do. Second thing, it provides opportunity for the experienced engagement team members to share their knowledge with whom? To share their knowledge and understanding with the juniors. So that is called step number 1 of doing the every bank audit. Now, step number 2, everyone, remember one thing. Whenever you will start doing a bank audit, before starting the bank audit, what is the first thing you have to do? You have to give a declaration of in-depthness also. Like in the audit, now tell me one thing, guys, do you all remember SA 210? What is SA 210? Audit engagement letter. Why do we send the audit engagement letter to our client first? So that he can understand my terms and condition. I can understand his terms and condition. If both the terms and conditions are not matching with each other, shall we continue or we should withdraw from there itself only?
Drop from that.
Same is the case. If you are doing the bank audit, same thing may happen in the bank audit also or not? Yes. So in the
Yes.
bank audit, maybe step number 2, may what is the sub point number 1? Auditor first must accept the engagement letter and then shall proceed with the audit of the bank. First of all, tell them your terms and condition and understand their terms and condition, accept the engagement letter, then only you should proceed in doing the audit of the bank. And tell me one thing, you should be indebted to the bank which you are doing the audit for, or you should be independent.
Independent.
So you have to give a declaration that I don't have any kind of loan from this branch. I don't have any kind of indebtedness from this bank. Are you getting the point or not? That is called declaration of what? Indebtedness. Next thing. Remember one thing, if you are the internal auditor of the bank, can you be appointed as an external auditor of the same bank in the same year?
No.
No, you will not be allowed. So it should be ensured that internal auditor of the bankers shall not undertake the statutory audit of the same bank in the same year. Are you getting the point? Acha, tell me everyone, I will keep on asking the question. Please tell me, what is SA 300? Audit planning. SA 300 is audit planning. Do we also have to plan our bank of audit? Audit bank? Yes.
Yes.
What is SA 210? Audit engagement letter. Do we also have to tell our terms and condition and accept their terms and condition before accepting and continuing the audit?
Yes.
Yes. And remember one very important thing which I am telling you about the CA final. CA final mein you will understand one chapter called professional ethics. Remember one thing, incoming auditor shall always in writing communicate with the outgoing auditor. Means what? The branch which you are doing the audit this year, that branch if audited by somebody else last year, so incoming auditor must communicate with the last year auditor do you have any kind of problem if I'll do the audit of this branch this year? That is called courtesy communication. Incoming auditor shall not accept the audit of the new branch until and unless he does not get the confirmation from the previous year auditor. So suppose this year, whatever the branches I'm going for, those branches were not audited by me. So before accepting the appointment letter, before doing the audit only, I already sent the letter to the previous year auditor. That is what the information the banker already gives you. कि last year this audit was done by the Mr. ABC and Associates. So I already sent one letter to them. Do you have any objection if I'll continue as a statutory auditor of this branch which was audited by you last year? Did you get the point? And if you fail to communicate, you are guilty of professional misconduct, everyone. Did you all understand the point? So as per clause 8 of part 1 of schedule, this you will learn in the CA final, कि a CA, practicing CA cannot accept an audit without communicating with the previous auditor in writing. Clear or not? Now tell me one thing. Do you have to understand the bank and its environment and its internal control to increase the risk of doing the audit or to decrease the risk of doing the audit?
Decrease.
That is what? Understanding the bank and its environment to reduce the risk posed within 315. And at the same point of time, try to understand the bank's risk management policy. You should talk to the management. What kind of risks are there in your bank? What are your methodologies to fight with those risks? What are the risks in your financial system? What are the risks in your operational system? Talk to the TCWG, talk to their control activities, talk to their management. And until unless you're not satisfied with the risk management process, you should not go ahead in your audit. Did you all understand or not? Yes or no? Yes. And at the same point of time, in the bank also hundreds of things, thousands of things to be verified. But do you have a limited time to do the audit or unlimited time to do the audit?
Limited time.
So you have to use SA 320, my friend, to make a differentiation between what are material things to be audited and what are material or immaterial. Immaterial. So tell me, you will concentrate on material things or immaterial things?
Material things.
So tell me, what are the standards on auditing we are following to do the bank audit? Did we follow 300? Yes. Did we follow 210? Yes. Did we follow 315 to reduce the risk? Yes. Did we follow 320 to check between the material items and immaterial items? Yes. And are we going to follow 570 also, everyone? Can anybody tell me in the comment box or orally what is 570?
Going concern.
Going concern. So when the bank's risk will be very higher, when the bank's things will be very poor, whether there's a big question mark on the going concern of the bank or not.
Yes.
So yes, we have to consider the possibility of 570 also. Are you able to see the point number 1 itself? Yes. Gaining the understanding of GC assumption as per SA 570. Next one. Always maintain the professional skepticism throughout the audit. What do you mean by professional skepticism, everyone? Which mind? Questioning mind throughout the audit. And remember, examine whether stress testing procedures are involved or not. What do you mean by stress testing, everyone? Remember one thing. Do you remember that what was that in 2016 happened?
Bad debts. Non.
Demonetization. Yes, thank you so much. So demonetization happened in 2016 or not? At that point of time, suddenly, or if I'm not wrong, on the 8th September 2016, May Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that ki 500 rupees notes and 1000 rupees notes are legal tender or illegal tender? Illegal tender.
Illegal.
So next day, what happened? All the people went into the banks or not?
Yes.
To withdraw the money or to deposit their money? Now tell me, that was a very chaos situation. Am I correct or not? So bankers should behave properly in that situation or should lose their control? That is called should lose their control. No, they should behave properly in that situation or not? Yes. So even though a lot of stress might have come, that point of time, each and every banker was spending almost 15 to 16 hours in a bank. So those parents or those students whose parents are bankers or in the working in the bank, they might be connecting my thing with that. At that point of time, it was a very difficult job for the bank employees to keep themselves energetic for 16, 17 hours in a bank, because so many customers you are going to, and daily you are attending thousand customers, because on daily basis normal customer footfall is 20, 30, 100 customers, but suddenly due to demonetization, lakhs and lakhs of customers started coming to your bank or not. So that is called stress testing procedures, everyone. That also you have to check whether uh, we call it as mock drill also, if you remember. We call it as mock drills also. Then we also have to ask the management ki, are there any activities which you have outsourced outside? What do you mean by outsource? Outsourcing activities are those activities which are related to the bank only, but the bank does not do it. Bank outsourced it to somebody else. So they are paying the commission to them and somebody else is doing those activities on the behalf of them. Then there is one word you have to remember, everyone: Basel III framework. What do you mean by Basel III framework? That you will understand in CA final. And ensure that auditor examines the previous year audit reports, latest inspection audit reports, latest internal audit reports, and concurrent audit reports. Everyone, please tell me what I will get, what kind of benefit I will get if I'll read the inspection reports, internal audit reports, and concurrent audit reports of the same branch. What kind of benefit I'll get? Will I come to know about the weaknesses in these reports or not?
Yes, that to focus more.
Inspection, yeah, I will already be able to, can I say that 320 I will be able to do? Materiality, I'll be able to understand which areas I need to focus, which areas I need not focus, because I am doing only audit for the 2-3 days as a statutory auditor, but inspection report, internal auditor, concurrent auditor were there with that bank throughout the year or not?
Yes.
They have the better knowledge than me. So this is nothing but the biggest tool. You can say that this is the biggest tool in the hands of whom? Statutory auditor. Did you get the point or not? This is how actually we do the audit, everyone. Everyone crystal clear or not? Yes or no? I think we are on the edge of completion. Hardly 2-3 pages are left. Yes. We'll do one thing, everyone. I'm getting short of breath now. I'm unable to. So we'll continue tomorrow, everyone. In the first half an hour, we'll be in a position to complete this thing. And tomorrow, we are going to start with a new chapter called Audit of Automated Environment along with this. So I think within the first half an hour, we'll be in a position to do that. And the remaining 1.5 hour, we'll be concentrating on Audit of Automated Environment. Clear, everyone? Right? So thank you so much, everyone. Remaining will continue tomorrow. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good night to all of you. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Good night.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening patiently. Yes? Tell me, sir.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Tell me.
Sir, if I have an account in a bank,
If tell me. Your voice is little bit audible. Tell me. Hello.
sir,
Tell me.
sir, I have an audit in a bank in a branch.
You are having a bank audits right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
Okay. Then what are you asking?
I have a same account in a branch.
Okay.
May I have it same branch, sir?
You have a savings bank account
Having a
in that.
bank.
We are giving the declaration of indebtedness, buddy. Savings account में तो your money is there ना?
I'm taking a loan.
Savings bank account में your money is there ना? That is your doubt ना? You are saying that you are having a savings bank account in one branch, whether you can do the audit of that branch or not. That is what your question is? Yeah. So in the savings bank, so your money is there na? Indebtedness does not mean savings is going on. Indebtedness means did you take any loan from that bank or not? Because if you have taken a loan from that bank, then in that case there's a big question mark on your independence. Did you understand what I'm saying? Because if it's a savings bank account में तो it is your own money only. So you are not indebted to the bank. Indebted to the bank means what? You are telling to the bank that ki, I don't have any kind of loan or I don't have any kind of obligation towards this bank. Did you all understand or not?
Whether it is secured or unsecured.
Any kind of loan, indebtedness, any because if you have a loan with that branch, you will not be given that thing. But question is, sir, how the bankers will come to that is what is known as it is a declaration of indebtedness made by the auditor to the bank. Because if the later on it is found that the whole audit will be treated as null and void and you will not get your audit fees for that. Clear or not? Yeah, Sharmili, I will share these notes by maybe by tomorrow. Okay, with the Mano Ranjan or Mano Karan, I think. Yeah,
Yes.
Manoran. So I'll share. I'm sharing with you only.
Yes.
Yeah, so I will share it with you. Please share it with the group in that way. Okay.
No, Manoranjidam. Another person.
Another person, whosoever it is, so he will share it with you guys. Okay, guys. Chalo, bye bye everyone. Good night to all of you. Take care. Bye everyone. Bye
Thank
everyone.
you, sir.
Thank you so much. It was pleasure teaching.